Technology, it's wonderful.
Welcome everyone to the Monday, March 16, 2026 meeting of the Board of Trustees for the Village of Lansing. We're a couple of minutes late due to technical difficulties with our camera. Again, for some reason, unplugging it and replugging it in didn't solve the problem, so we're using our smaller web camera. So that's why the view is a little different. And we're not displaying to our internal, the in-room videos, our monitors yet. So Jody's working furiously as we go along. I will call the meeting to order with a roll call. Susan Ainsley.
Present.
Pat Gillespie. Here. Carolyn Greenwald.
Here.
And Kathleen Yen. And Ronnie Hardowitz here. So we have full quorum. The next order of business is public comment. This is the period of the meeting when anyone who would like to speak on a topic that's not already on our agenda would like to speak. Is there anyone online or in? There's no one in the room. Is there anyone online who would like to speak to a topic?
Hi, Kevin Calvington from the Planning Board here to observe.
Say that again.
Kevin Calvington.
Oh, Kevin. Okay. Thank you, Kevin. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, I will move that we close the public comment period.
Second.
Susan Ainsley seconds. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. Before we go to the next topic, I want to let everyone know that there will be an executive session at the end of the meeting tonight. So our next order on our agenda, next order of business on our agenda is to approve the minutes, the draft minutes from our March 2nd, 2026 Board of Trustees meeting. Would someone like to move those?
I so move.
Susan moves. Is there a second? Okay. Pat Gillespie seconds. Is there any discussion or concerns about the draft minutes from March 2nd? Okay. Seeing none? All those in favor of approving the draft minutes from March 2nd, 2026, say aye. Aye. Sorry about my voice. It's been like this for a couple of days. Okay, we still got time. Our next order of business is to set a public hearing for proposed local law C 2026 to allow the override of the tax levy limit established in general municipal law Section 3-C for Monday, April 6th, 2026, which is our next Monday night meeting of the Board of Trustees at 7:35 p.m.
See that date again?
Monday,
6th,
April
our next
6th.
meeting.
And this law is one that our village attorneys have annually suggested that we pass, just in case there's an issue comes up during our budget where we might need to exceed the tax levy cap, which I think this year is 2%. The smaller of the two, either the 2% or a CPI. Rate of inflation, in other words, which is higher than 2, so it's at 2%. So I will move this proposed local public hearing for proposed local law C, local law C, there it is, for allowing the override of the tax levy limit established in general municipal law, Section 3-C. Would someone like to move?
Second.
So moved.
You moved it.
Oh, no,
You moved it.
I moved it?
Yeah.
No, sorry. I guess I didn't
Second.
realize.
Okay.
Started discussing. Okay. Okay. Is there any discussion about this? No. Pretty much we do this every year, so. Okay. All those in favor of the public hearing, please say aye. Aye. Okay. Good. Okay, the next order of business is our scheduled public hearing for proposed local law B 2026, amendment to Village of Lansing Code zoning law. This is to establish setbacks and density within the Business and Technology District and the Health and Human Services District. I will move this proposal,
To open.
it's already, I just need, I'm opening the public hearing. Would anyone like to second?
Second.
Susan seconds, okay, thank you. So basically, is there anyone online who would like to speak to this law? Seeing none online, I just will read this first section. The purpose and intent of this local law to amend Chapter 145 entitled Zoning of the Village of Lansing Code to set density, setback, and height requirements for multi-residential buildings in Section 145-44 entitled Business and Technology District, BTD, and Section 145-46 entitled Health and Human Services District, HHSD, of Chapter 145 entitled Zoning of the Village of Lansing Code. Is there any other discussion?
I'll just note that Michael Scott determined this is a type 2 action under seeker, so no seeker review is necessary.
Type 2. Thank you. I will move that we close the public hearing for proposed local law B 2026.
Second.
Susan seconds. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, the next order of business is to pass a resolution enacting this local law B. Which law would it be now, Jen? Local law
2026.
2,
Mm-hmm.
2026. I will move that resolution.
Second.
Carolyn seconds. Is there any discussion on that? All those in favor of this resolution to enact proposed local law 2, 2026, say aye. Aye. Okay. Thank you. Okay, our next order of business is to continue our 2026-27 budget discussions and to potentially set a public hearing for Monday, April 6, 2026 at 7:36 p.m. And just to note that after our executive session tonight, there may or may not be any changes to that, to the current budget that we were discussing tonight. So if we come out of executive session with a change, we will need to pass a resolution enacting that change for the budget. And then Jody would include that in the final document that will be going out for the public hearing.
Jody, I just have a question on the document that you just passed around on the last page where you said the total budget proposals are, and then increase, decrease, increase. Are those in this version to the last version or last year to this year?
Last year to this year.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to double check.
Yeah, and there is one more thing. John did bring that, that kind of like rover thing that goes through the sewer.
Oh, yeah.
You had asked him to get
Rubber camera.
price on it, and it's 150,000. So I didn't know if you wanted to add that to the sewer. If you did add that to the sewer budget, then the amount that we would transfer to sewer reserve would be $150,000 less.
What's the amount right now? Oh, I see, right there.
Yep.
Wait, that's the amount or that's the amount being transferred in? The 521? That's what it is as of now.
No, let's see. In next year's budget, we have that we are going to transfer $430,000 to capital reserve
Okay.
for future plans. But if you decide that you want to add that piece of equipment to the sewer, which would be a 0.2, then that 430 would go down by 150, and then that line item will go up by 150.
So with regard to the 500,000 that's in the sewer reserve now, right? Is any of that earmarked for a future large project that we're saving for?
So future plans, if you look at the 430 above that, transfer to capital reserve, it says future plans, overtime lines for Shannon Park, M&T Bank from manhole 3037 west to manhole 3033. So I mean, and Burlew Drive to Uptown Village Apartments. So those are the things that are coming up as part of the capital plan, what he's is gonna be next. If you look in the budget under engineering, you'll see that we're starting to plan for that.
But we don't have an estimate of how much
We don't have an estimate or anything yet. So then they're working on the engineering, they'll come up with a plan, then at that point, we'll be able to say, okay, we can do it. The next year's budget, will we be able to use just normal income as part of paying for the project, or will we have to get it from reserve? So. And if we see that we don't have the money to do it, then you may put it off another year, put more money into the reserve instead of doing the project. So yeah, you'll see usually when you have a big project going on, there will be no transfer to reserve.
Just a heads up that that's coming down the road.
Yeah, yep.
Well, let's have a discussion about the sewer camera. I know John's online too, so John, I know that you made a good sell at our meeting last Thursday. $150,000 is a fairly substantial purchase. One of my first questions is, what is the life cycle of such a camera? How long do they project that camera will last, using it in our sewers?
He told me 15 years.
15
Because I
years.
asked 15,
15.
yeah. Because I asked the same question, because for Gatsby, we have to come up with a life expectancy so we can depreciate the value of it over that many years.
Okay.
So will the village be making up at least $150,000 in I&I fines? Like the value of that?
There are no fines. Yeah.
Fines, F-I-N-D-S, not fines.
Oh, fines, okay.
Like, we're using the camera to find a problem, solve that problem. What is the value, the economic value of solving that problem, is my question.
Depends what the problem is.
Yeah, yeah.
John, do you understand my question? Can
I
you-
do, I do. Supposedly, we've been keeping track of that, and Brent was supposed to give us credit for that. Now, I don't know what he meant by credit, whether it's not really a discount in rates, but I think it's more units can connect.
Oh, sure. That
Generally,
makes sense.
that's what the discussions have been. It's just because all of the municipalities who are using the Village of Cayuga Heights wastewater treatment plant are supposed to be looking to I&I. And then when they find something and address it, then they kind of get credits. Now, I think that our village is substantially more impactful to what's going to go down through the sewers, because we have a large population for our size, apartments and so forth, and we have some potential new developments coming up. So if we were having an extreme I&I issue, which we are not having an extreme I&I issue, there might be some concerns about that extra flow going into the sewer plant instead of real flow from units, and they might cut us back. There has been no discussion of doing that. They know that we are trying. This would help solidify the fact, and I think I mentioned this at Thursday's meeting, is if the DEC comes in to evaluate their system and they can point to municipalities doing their bit to find I&I, because it's a big issue for DEC too, that would help them not be fined or cut back or throttled by the DEC, and it might eventually help the Village of Cayuga Heights get more grants from the state level to help with future upgrades and updates.
John, do you think it'd be worth getting a number from Brent before we purchase? Say, if we were to purchase this, what would you, how much would you increase our allotment?
No, there's really no, one of the biggest concern is how much you're going to divert the flow into the Ithaca area wastewater treatment facility. That's the biggest thing right there. We got a factor of 3 I&I into our system right now. So every time during the spring and fall, or during heavy rain seasons, our flow goes up times 3. So right now, normal flows, we're pushing somewhere around 500,000 gallons a day out of the treatment, the railroad interceptor collector system. And when we have heavy rains or thaws and stuff like that, we're pushing 1.3 to 1.5 million gallons a day. So when he starts tipping the scales, if we're pushing 1.3, 1.5, he's allowed only 2 million gallons a day for the treatment facility. That's all it's good for is 2 million gallons a day. What happens now? They have to divert the flow over to Ithaca area wastewater treatment. So what happens is you're seeing that double-digit increase every year from Cuga Heights. So if you can reduce our I&I, we're reducing the flow down through there. Then that eliminates the bypass into the plant.
I'm very much in favor of reducing I&I. What I also want to do at the same time is maximize everything that we do for the village. And in this case, if we have a negotiation that we could make with Kiga Heights based on such a purchase, that's what I'm asking right now. Is it, in addition to all the other benefits we'll get from this camera, is there another little asterisk benefit that we can say to Brent, the village is contemplating this purchase. We also would like to store our hookups. Maybe we'll use them, maybe we won't for development. But can you, because if we make this purchase, can you give us another 100? And just see if he says yes. He doesn't have to say yes. He doesn't, we don't have to purchase it based on this.
He's not there anymore.
Well, he's their advisor, right?
Yeah, he's off, yeah, he's the remote.
So just asking them, before we purchase this, we want to store some more sewer units for potential developments. And is this a negotiation?
I just don't think you're going to get an answer from them on that. I know we have, Ronnie, correct me if I'm wrong, there's like 300 units or something like that we push for. And in a lot of the meetings, we haven't had them allow connections.
Well, my memory's correct. Don negotiated 400 units in exchange for the Klein Road. So it's not like the idea of us doing stuff in negotiation for units is a new idea. It's not a new idea.
It's also a lot of our system has reached a maximum capacity. That's the biggest thing. By reducing the I&I, you reduce the amount of flow going through our lines. Right now, so there's some areas that we're trying to make improvements on because they're surcharging. It's not just for units. It's to cut back and reduce the unwanted water or treatment of sewage that's going through our conveyance system. That's the biggest thing right there. We're tipping a lot of the lines that are leaving our village are getting almost to the max capacity. So we need to reduce that. That's the biggest thing right there. I don't know if it's the units that we're really after as much as reducing the I&I and having more capacity in our system. That's the biggest thing.
Do you understand what I'm trying to?
Yes, yeah.
Would you be willing to make this negotiation?
I think we could do the negotiation, but I don't know it before the camera. I don't know because we won't know until we get a camera what we might find to fix. But we can say, if we're going to purchase a camera, we would like to purchase a camera, and if we do, and we start finding I&I issues that we can repair, and it does lower the I&I, can we talk about future units?
That's not how I negotiate it. I would negotiate it, or say, we're contemplating this camera purchase. If you were to give us 100 units, we would purchase this camera. And then if we find some, maybe you can give us 200 more based on issues that we solve. That's how I would negotiate it.
I can pitch that to the Village of Cuyahoga Heights, but my first gut instinct is going to say,
No, that doesn't make
They're
sense.
welcome to say no, and then you can come back and say, well, what if we find this much, you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
It's a
I understand.
negotiation.
And they might say, well, we'll think about it, but you need to do this, and yeah, no, we can negotiate. I don't mind doing that.
It's in our sewer agreement that we have to be combatant I&I. It's already in the agreement. And
Right.
that's the thing. That's why in that budget line item, it's to upsize the line from M&T Bank across the road and then down through Ripples, which is down by Highgate. We're almost, right now, we're at max capacity at normal flow. And when we have that factor of 3 on the I&I, That's what we're combating. We're not just combating for units. We're combating the I&I for, our capacity, our line capacity.
So, John, tell us about how you anticipate use of the camera, like when you'd be able to get into service, which lines you'd look at, what would you hope to find, like kind of the nitty gritty of use.
Basically, during the off season when we're not doing road work or doing snow removal, that which is usually the spring or fall, that's when you have the most I&I, and that's the time we would use it to benefit searching and recording and getting documentation of where the I&I is, and then going back and fixing it during low flows. I can't explain it. I guess I'm not explaining it very good, but I mean, either way, we're going to have to televise these lines, and it's expensive to do it. We did it one year, and I think we spent 40,000, and we didn't hardly get anything done. It was that expensive to camera. I mean,
So where would you drop the camera first?
um, work with the engineers to get the areas that are, that we know that they're half capacity or, 2/3 running full right now. Drop them in. I mean, there's some down by M&T Bank we need to televise. They're
And
all.
then the camera will show you like a carotid area. What will the camera show you?
Basically, you're looking for inflow into the line. Since it's non-pressurized line, you have to keep water out just as you keep water in. That's the whole thing with an I&I. So you're looking for joints that are leaking. You're looking for additional flow, unusual flow that's coming in from laterals, from households, businesses. You're just we have somewhere around 5 miles of sewer line. So there's going to be plenty to investigate. There's no shortage of looking. And I&I is happening all the time. There's the ground's moving. We have asbestos concrete plates, which were used with a bell and a gasket. And a lot of those they've deflected or separated, and that's what we're looking at. We fixed a lot during Start Drive. We never got any credit for that from Brent, but we reduced the capacity that's in our line.
So you've already identified specific areas where the camera could be used. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be constantly looking. First of all, we're going to start with the old asbestos concrete lines. Those are the lines that are most prone to the I&I.
Right. And I guess one thing that might help us decide on this finally is to know if we were to rent a camera. You said, how long ago was it that you rented a camera and used it? Third party?
We could look back through the records. Basically, we did it through professional services through TG Miller. I can come up with that information, but it was very expensive, and we didn't get that much done. But we got enough information where we were able to document the footages, the problem. That one of them was Dart Drive itself. We wanted to kind of go through them areas that we were thinking about doing improvements for, and we did those. And while we did the waterline projects, we fixed almost a dozen spots where I had I&I.
When you rent a camera like that, do you have to schedule it well in advance?
They don't rent cameras. You have to hire it done. You have to.
That's what I meant. When you hire the camera, do you have to schedule that well in advance of needing it?
That's the problem, because yes, you do. And that's the problem is when everybody wants a camera, it's all at the same time. It's all during the fall and the spring where you have the most inflow, most groundwater. And that's the thing. They become high demand, and you can't really, I mean, you could schedule them for spring and fall, but in hopes you have significant rain to be able to reflect what you're looking for.
Right.
John, how long will it take you? Like, how much time will it take you of your already busy schedule to start this investigation? It seems like a full-time job to look at, to take this on.
It's not. It's typically during like I said, the fall and the spring when you're kind of in you're changing over from construction or snow season, one or the other. So I mean, there's times we can go out and camera. I mean, the thing has like 1,000-foot camera cord to it. So you can camera up through a couple manholes, which typically manholes run 300 feet is a golden rule because of the hose that it takes to flush them. So basically you could go out, maybe get a few thousand feet done each day.
Oh, okay.
So, you could get a lot done, but either way, we'll get it done. We'll document it. That's the beauty of it. It's all recorded. Want to do it to me? I'm I'm okay either way. I don't want to push the village into something they don't want to do.
How much, I'm sorry, Kathleen has a question, then I have a question.
So John, you said about 1,000 feet a day?
No, you could probably get a lot more than that done.
Couple thousand?
It's in between. I would say a couple thousand to 5,000 feet a day, depending on what you run into, where you have to stop.
So
Joint.
about
Yeah.
20% of your sewer
No,
lines?
I have to look at the mileage. I know it's a lot. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's somewhere around 50,000. I'd have to look at. I have the footages down at the office.
So the 40,000 a year for the 1 year that you did use it, about how much would you say, did you get like a 20%?
No,
No.
no, not even close.
Um, And is there any, intermunicipal sharing of
I
the
said
equipment?
I said that to two of the vendors that I talked to today, and they advised against that. One that they said if you did do something like that and there was emergency, you would want to send your manpower that's trained to do it, because all you got to do is lose that camera they just lose that camera into the line, and then you basically have to dig the line up. You have to cut the cord. Who knows if there's damage to the camera. So once you have trained individuals on this, it's not rocket science.
So is
You
our
would,
staff trained?
I mean, we would definitely go through training. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've been around them a lot. We know a lot about them. We were there when we did a lot of the other televising before, so it's not a real big deal. But you got to watch for fraying the cable when you go down in there and stuff like that. I mean, it's a process. Like I said, it's entirely up to you.
And how about availability of parts and repairs?
They pretty much sounded like they had a lot of these out in the world. And I can't remember the name of the supplier, Enviro something. They said they own 60%. They have 60% of the market out there as far as the what they have in for the cameras.
My question was training. You've already answered that it should be fairly simple, and you've had experience with this type of cameras. The other thing that I look for in equipment like this, are there municipalities around us who are close by? So if you have a question about use that training doesn't cover, is there a support group within the municipalities, within the county, or close enough where you could contact them and get some ideas about a new use or an issue you're having with the camera?
Yeah, sounds like the vendors are readily available. They have a team that goes around all the time working with other municipalities and training. They were just down um, talking with Cuba Heights on a purchase for their municipality as well too. And it sounded like maybe the town of Lansing was looking at one too. And that's why I said, well, would it be worth with just kind of going around and doing some intermunicipal stuff? And he said, I doubt you would get anybody to do it because it's really sensitive material. I mean, it's sensitive equipment and you could damage it. So I asked all those questions. Cuba Heights is looking at one that they push, and then that's no good. You can only push a rope so far. You know what I mean? So it sounds to me like they're jumping into something that if they waited another year or two, they might be better going with a better camera. Plus, their camera that they were pricing out was only good for 300 feet, and a lot of our manholes are between 300 and 350 feet. So you're not going to really get the full use out of it. You have to go against the flow. You can't go with the flow.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Any other questions for John?
I think he's checked all the boxes.
We just need to decide, do we want to invest $150,000 on a camera for the sewers?
So the other option, does it have to be a specific line item? That it can only be used
It's
for
equipment, a
that?
.4, or a .2, I mean.
So it does have to be earmarked specifically for that. Or it could come out of the sewer fund at a later time.
Yeah. Whenever you wanted to purchase, I mean, you could wait till next year to budget it, if that's what you're thinking. Or,
I think we should budget it. Because it sounds like would be useful, a useful tool to reduce I. And John, so we'll just figure out how to work that into his work schedule. Depending on, I mean, it's not like tomorrow it'll show up at our doorstep, perhaps. I mean, there'll be a time lapse, so we're looking at 6 months maybe.
I'm absolutely in favor of reducing I. I just feel like it's a little bit last minute, like, it's not like we've been talking for several years about spending $150 in this capacity, just all of a sudden seemed like presented. And I do think we keep saying the same thing, which is that, like, why can't we share this with other municipalities? Now, nobody has this weird relationship like Village Town like we do. So if they're thinking about buying one, I mean, I feel like we could work it out, that if whoever breaks it, has to reimburse somebody. But it's something you're gonna be using for 5 days, and you can cover, if you can do 2,000 feet a day, and we have 5 miles of village, at most you're using it, if you do the entire village, it's 11 days.
I don't think it's like that, though. I think you're using it all at the same time. Another thing it would be nice to have it for is the village put a lot of system in that had laterals for houses, vacant lots. And that's our biggest problem is sometimes they attach into our sewer and there's a lateral already there for it. So that's where, that's another advantage to it. I'm kind of baffled why the town of Lansing would get one, considering, to be honest with you, I'm really shocked. They don't have that much system compared to the village.
And Cayuga Heights is also thinking of buying one. I mean, it just seems like it would be, you can have a contract that could take care of issues with intermunicipal sharing. Seems like a lending library type situation that everybody, you don't need it all on the same day, because you know how I know that? We haven't used one yet, ever. So, April 11th is not booked for us using a camera and Cayuga Heights using a camera on that date. So to say that we can't share gives me pause, because it's a big expense. And I think we could work something out with a contract if they're thinking about, especially if they're thinking about buying a lesser one. But we said, well, what if we, went into something intermunicipal? They would be like, oh, well, you're getting the better one, then we can afford the better one. That's great.
I think you run into a potential problem if it is needed at the same time. Who gets precedent in that situation?
We could contract that.
But which municipality is going to want to take second fiddle?
The one that pays slightly less?
They tried to do this with a shoulder machine, town of Lansing, town of Dryden, and Tompkins County, and it just was horrible. Horrible. Everybody wanted to use it at the same time.
But we do share the same system, right?
Minor
So
dings
everybody
or
would have the same objective.
Each time.
Everyone would have the same objective, because we literally use the same wastewater treatment plant. So we'd all know where the problem is. We don't currently have one, so this emergency hasn't arisen yet. And if there was an emergency, we would be in the exact same boat as them, because we're flowing into, the Ithaca area wastewater treatment plant, which neither municipality wants. So we jointly would solve the problem. I don't think we're at odds with them. I think we could be cooperative.
We did a lot of televising until Drain Brain's camera broke. So we have done a lot of televising over the years, a lot. But that's fine, either way.
I'm not convinced that we shouldn't do it. I'm just saying there are things to consider that I want to talk about, like intermunicipal sharing, like using it as negotiation. It seems like it would be helpful, and I definitely want to solve I&I, so I'm not saying we absolutely should never do it. It just does seem like, maybe you've been thinking about it for a while, but I only heard about it at our last meeting for the first time.
I'm going to propose that we table this and not put it in this year's budget, but we discuss it. And if we find a good solution, we can come back and change our budget and insert it and determine where to use the money and how to use it. Basically, as Carolyn says, to give us more time to discuss this topic. So,
Because this is such a big purchase, if you decided you want to do it, you would do a permissive referendum and take money out of the reserve. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Because there's no money wiggle room in the budget for $150.
if that's the case, and
We would just take it right out of the reserve, which is, I mean, it's 30 days permissive,
yeah, it's,
if you want to do it.
and that way we would get possibly more discussion, but it gives us more time to think about it rather than press it in at the last minute. Because I do believe it's a good piece of equipment, but how it's to be used and if it can be shared. Carolyn's raised some good issues. And we can still discuss this, and we discuss it with a little more in depth before we make a final decision. And if we want to get it between budgets, then as Jody suggests, we can do a 30-day permissive referendum and do it. And in the meantime, if we have some extreme I&I issues that drive it, again, we could still get the camera. But let's give ourselves more time.
John, what would be the lead time on a purchase? Like if you decided we needed a purchase, how long do you think it would take for you to get it, get trained, be able to use it?
Well, I don't think it's that difficult, and I think they're readily available. I'm okay with doing that process. I don't think we're talking years. It's not like a truck, for instance, but it's probably a month or two. So I'm that plan. Absolutely good with it. We wouldn't purchase it anyway for now. We're going into construction season, so a lot of times when we budget for something like that, we don't purchase it right away. So I'm good with doing a permissive referendum or just gangfully talking about it.
We can, that would give us time to get some discussion between the Village of Cuyahoga Heights and the town of Lansing, if you say, and see what they are proposing to buy and see if they have a better solution or if our solution would help them. But in the meantime, we could have discussions with them as, it would actually probably would be eventually within all of the Gang of Five, which is everyone but the Ithaca Area Wastewater Treatment Plant, and to see if other people would be willing to do this too. Could we all, if we're all going to purchase a similar camera, could we do a group budget or a group purchase and get a better price through the vendor? Always a possibility too.
I just don't want it to be a Klein Road bypass. The village fell sucker to that, paid for all Klein Road bypass, and then basically it went unappreciated.
I agree with that.
That's one of the reasons why I want to talk to Giga Heights before we purchase it and say we're contemplating this. What will we get credit-wise? Either kudos or sewer units or something.
Reduction in rates.
Rate reduction? Yeah, like I want to pre-negotiate before, it's a bargaining chip.
And this will give, this process that I suggested, basically we're suggesting, is give us more time to do something.
Well, I think that's a good solution. But ultimately, John will have his camera.
Yeah, I think
We'll
ultimately
use our I&I.
we should invest in it, but we need to invest in it in such a way as to get the most benefit for our village. So, good discussion.
Come up with exact footages on our sewer line too. I know I have them at the office and about roughly what the camera successfully can do in a day's time. I think that will all help.
Yeah, all of it will help, but it would give us more time.
Perfect.
Okay, John. Thank you. Next topic, Jody.
We,
And does anybody have any other changes that they want to the budget?
I don't see any.
So we can go ahead and start a public hearing if you want.
Yes, please.
This is just a general question. If we were, and I'm asking the mechanism or the process for doing something like that, if one were to, for example, like a general code, I'm not advocating for that, but if one were to use an outside service like general code to update, and there are different modules, but is there anywhere that this
You got
could be
$20,000 in
incorporated?
your contingency fund. You have to remember that your budget is a plan.
Right,
And we say what we think we want to spend it on, but then you get to, for instance, this year, we did not do the sidewalk project because what came up? We got money and we had to put it off. So now you have that 900,000 just on the sidewalk that you could have taken, and it's there. You could have done another project. It's just a plan, and money, you have to remember your budget, you can move money around.
But you can't move money from sewer to.
No, you can't move it from sewer.
So I think Kathleen's asking what available funds would be
Well,
within
she's talking
the
about general code, which would be general fund.
general fund. So what general fund reserve, what's the general fund reserve balance?
Well, that doesn't matter, if you're gonna take money out of, that would be like a, part of your normal budget. So you have a $20,000 contingency fund that you've built into your budget coming up, which you could move, so, or say, you don't hire a deputy clerk until 6 months in, then you got another $30,000 there, or whatever you guys are thinking. So I mean, you're making a plan, thinking you want to do this, end up not doing it, there's money there. We always do budget transfers every single year. So you can move it around. This is just your plan. You're not bound to it. Money can move within each expenditure, so.
Can I ask Kathleen a question? Are you talking like for an emergency purchase, like middle of the year, and you don't have enough money to cover, or it wasn't allocated? Are you talking about something like that?
no, I know you can use a contingent fund for emergencies. I was asking where in these line items, if one wanted to pursue something like a code, where that would come from.
You would have to figure out where you have other money that's left over from stuff that you didn't do.
Okay.
And
Yeah. I
transfer
mean,
it.
that's what we do every year at the end.
So John, I hear what you're saying. You're talking about if there's an emergency.
No, I was thinking like if something come up and you had a big project or something like that, that's where the 30-day permissive referendum comes in. That usually gives you money if you had to do a project, or well, not necessarily emergency or contingency, anything like that, like the camera purchase, for instance. But that's what I thought you meant. I'm sorry.
Say, for instance, a tree fell on our building and we had 50,000 or 100,000. You would take that out of your reserve. But you're talking about code.
talking
emergencies,
something
is
different.
Yeah, I understand, yeah.
And that, it would just be a discussion. We'd know, at that point, we would say, okay, the money could come from here or here or here. And we would take a little bit out of each and put it into another spot, another pot. So it would be a future discussion.
Thank you.
Any other concerns or questions about the almost final budget?
And this is just to have it set for the public hearing. Now, if at the public hearing, someone would come up with something else that they don't agree with, we still have time to amend it again. But to have a public hearing, you have to have a set budget to present to your public. It's gonna have to be on our website. I have to put an ad in the paper. There's certain numbers that have to go in. So that's why you're trying to, right now, get a budget set for your public.
And then other major and minor adjustments, like if you, like what would be the amount that you could change and not have to do another public hearing?
There's a set dollar amount.
There's no
Without a
set
change
dollar
in it,
amount.
if there's just
No.
It just would have to just not seem
Yeah.
substantial to us? Okay.
But we still have to meet the fiscal deadline.
Yes.
So
April 15th.
that would determine what we could really do. If we wanted to have a public hearing, another public hearing, I don't think we would have time to communicate that to the public and hold it and have the discussion, so. If there's no other questions or concerns, then I will move that we.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I missed it.
So,
Speak up.
We don't, sorry, well, I'm raising my hand.
I couldn't tell.
So 1010.4, that's just contractual expenses that could be for NICOM training, anything like that. So we don't need names.
No, we do not need names at all. But if you know what you want and make it, if you know who's going, you will set that at your organizational meeting.
Yeah, I just saw it in here and I had removed myself.
It's
Do you
just,
want us to take that
it's just
out?
information for us.
Yeah, it's just.
It's not gonna show up, it's not
This
gonna
isn't
show
part
up
of the
here.
budget. No.
It won't show
Yeah.
up here,
No.
but it's here, so we know
This
clear.
is so we know what's going on, because, oh, wait a minute, now, why did I put so much money in there this year?
Thank
You know, I mean, there's a lot of things to remember, so this is like a guideline.
And we always,
Yeah.
this is always kind of attached to our budget notes and so forth, all of our minutes and everything, so we can always go back and find this if there's a question within the actual budget numbers that we don't remember.
That's helpful, thank you.
Yeah, that's something I started when I started working here.
Yeah. Well, this
Because it's
is
very
great.
helpful for me too, when I'm trying to figure out, when it comes to like appropriated fund balance at the end, you have to figure out, okay, what projects are we thinking about? And is this happen, did this happen? And that way I can go back and look at, each account and see what's happening. And then, I'll talk to John and find out what projects are gonna get done.
Mhm.
And so that I can come up with a number. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns?
No, sir. Mayor, sir.
Then I will let someone else move this budget then.
I so move.
Second?
And Kathleen seconds, all those in favor
So we're
The
setting a public
public
hearing
hearing.
for the budget
for this budget?
for April 6th at
36.
7:36.
Right. With a potential change after our executive session. And we will communicate that change later tonight if that happens, and so it will be there for you when you get in tomorrow. Okay. Good. Thank you. Next topic is general discussion. We'll go around the room alphabetically. Susan Ainsley,
Alphabetically.
assuming that I can still remember the
Always
alphabetical.
First,
Yeah,
usually.
next time I do reverse it.
Just a quick question with regard to the person who was cold and wet and rainy in the lobby.
No, have we heard any more?
No, there's been nothing else. And, we'll just keep an eye on it and see. I can lock, remember we got a lock system for this door so that I can lock it. So for instance, today there was a strange person walking with a wooden cross down through here. And I went and locked the door immediately.
But just
Just the first one, yeah.
the first entrance door.
This,
Yeah.
I mean, I could lock the other one, but I
Okay,
don't
then-
want to lock that one because that's our Dropbox.
Okay, so given that we're going to have the new choice for payments, is there anything wrong with end of business, locking the outside door?
I think we should just watch it. Let's not jump to conclusions. We've had one thing, was he really hanging out there? Let's just see. Let's not jump the gun before.
That was the second time somebody is.
No, that was the
Megan's-
first time that someone sat in there. There's been two people in there, sitting and hanging out in there.
I think, wasn't, and that initiated the lock?
No, it was strange people walking in and walking right into the office. It was initiated originally by,
Some, and I
it
was,
was a person, but they came in the office.
oh, well, anyway, just with the weather
keep
getting
watching.
better and
I did place a call to the Thomas County Sheriff's Department. Derek Osborne was out on vacation and Lynn Olson was away. I will try again and just see what they could suggest as far as drive-bys. Because they have a better chance of having someone, late in the evening or very early in the morning before John and his crew come in to
Chris
do a drive.
was just really upset. And to have that big guy. You can discern
You don't,
the
you just don't
situation.
know anymore. So
Right.
I will continue to call.
And then I got to thinking, outbuildings, are we missing an opportunity to let people know that there are people wandering around looking for dry, warm spaces in our neighborhood? Like with the incident of your vehicle a couple years ago.
Yeah, I think people are aware. I don't know what we could really tell them, that beware, there are strange people walking in there. I
Well,
don't,
lock your doors.
Someone in this vestibule?
yeah,
Do you have any sort of like ring camera or anything?
no. Well, the camera that's associated with
You get
the
someone-
system,
Yeah, they have
that,
to push a
the
button.
interior, but you have to,
I could, like, if I was sitting in my office and someone went in the vestibule, I can push a button and see who's out there.
Okay, but you have
I
to
mean,
be like
that
on
doesn't-
premise to do it.
Yeah.
So when you leave, theoretically, you could redirect the camera? No.
you have to physically,
Be here to like,
I mean-
almost like an intercom to
Yes.
press to see it.
But,
So it's not accessible. Phone.
oh,
it's not like a CC closed,
We could get a camera
Closed circuit.
if we wanted to,
We
but we
could.
don't need one at the moment.
Yeah.
We could also move the Dropbox, which is another idea to discuss.
and then be able
Locking the
to,
door is pretty simple. It
Yeah.
doesn't cost much.
no. it's-
Banks do it, lots of people do it. And I don't know, it's something to think about.
Yeah, no, absolutely, but I agree with Jody, we need to pay attention. It continues to happen, and it really is a problem. We will address it, but having it happen once or twice a year, I don't know if that's enough to.
Well, I like locked doors,
Yeah, I do too.
just for the record.
It's just an issue. I like the fact that we provide the Dropbox for people after hours, because if people have weird work schedules, they can
Oh,
drop it
no,
off.
absolutely.
So we
But they
have
can
to find a
also-
solution
They
to
can
that.
also, during business hours, find a way or do it.
Soon.
It's not easy just to find a way during business hours. I just can't leave work to go pay a bill.
a lot of jobs you can't do that.
Well, no, I agree with you.
Denmark has eliminated the postal service, and we are probably next.
Did they eliminate?
The postal service, there's no private postal service anymore. And we're probably next, in which
no.
case, I'll join with the rest of you in paying for it up here, because right now I put it in the mail.
What did you say, Natalie? I'm sorry, what was your comment about this?
Oh, that people may not want to pay the surcharge either to pay online.
Yeah, there is that. There is a surcharge to pay that. Some people don't mind it, other people do. So it's just nice to have. So I think if we're going to choose to lock the outer door, we're going to have to find a way of letting a Dropbox through that glass wall or the brick wall in. But does that introduce another type of issue? So,
I didn't want to let the issue drop.
no, it's not
Trying
dropping.
to keep our employees safe,
Absolutely.
especially these employees who wander around in the middle of the night plowing snow.
Anything else, Susan? No. Pat?
And
Carolyn?
The Greenway Committee met this morning, and we do have something that we need to talk about. John, are you still here?
Yes.
Okay, so there's been a lot of discussion about the trees along Trip Hammer Road. As some of you know, the village planted a tree called the Bradford or Calorie pear that was supposed to be a great option, but has turned out to be less of a great option. It turns out that it's invasive. It was thought to be sterile, but it's not. It's crowding up various areas along 13, and it's also growing bigger than we wanted. And John really wants to remove those trees and replace them. But it's not so easy to find the perfect tree and the perfect way to replace them. So one of the big discussion points that I want to do today is talking about the process for removal. So John's talking about removing all of the trees and replacing them from Graham Road to Pyramid Drive. Jacob on the Greenway Committee, who's also professionally in landscape design stuff, he's a super knowledgeable, fabulous member of the Greenway Committee, raised the issue that the public would probably be very disappointed in the village if we took out 38 trees and replaced them with saplings all at a time. And that visually would take several years to recover from. John would like to do them all in one go for financial reasons. It's less expensive. You come in one day and you do them all. But there's definitely a cost. There was going to be a big aesthetic hit to that. There's another issue of doing them all in one go is that if there's some kind of a problem with the tree itself, sometimes it's better to do one, then do another, then do a third and whatever. Similar in the same regard is a lot of talk about what tree is going to be put there. We have a lot of constraints and there's no magic tree that solves them all. We have salt, we have height, we have very little real estate, and we have conduits beneath them. So we need something that doesn't have deep roots and doesn't have a wide roots. Well, guess what? You either get one or the other with trees or they fall over. So there's a lot of things that we have to play around with. But what we're talking about right now, which I really wanted to get the trustees' point of view on, is how many trees to do at one time. I think that Jacob raised an excellent point that if we take out all 38 at the same time from the same location on Trip Hammer, that would be kind of stark. And I think there would be some comments about that. And it would take so many years for, even though the calorie pairs have issues, I mean, they're still pretty nice trees. We did intentionally plant them. I think that maybe removing so many in a row at one time. So what about every other tree? It will cost more to do it that way, but it will be less, a site jar. And then we would see how they do before we did something else. So there's pluses and minuses, pros and cons. And it's hard for the Greenway Committee, not being professionals, to solve all of these issues. So I wanted to talk to everyone here. Ronnie, you raised a really great point at our noon meeting, which is like, what if we did a plan? And I really like that idea, because what I don't want to do is one tree where we could do a variety of trees, because not every corner of every line is exactly the same. And if we have an opportunity for a taller tree, like for example, the west side has power lines, the east side doesn't. And then we can do like more different times of visual interest if it's not all the same tree. So there's really a lot that goes into this. It's not such a simple choice. If it were just, 10 trees down a single road, but it's our main thoroughfare. So we're thinking about all of these things and we don't have a conclusion. So that's why I wanted to come to all of you and get your feedback.
Can I make a comment?
Absolutely. I'm so glad you're here.
Did you guys get my email I sent earlier today?
Yes, I did.
Yep.
We've done a lot of research on this, and Dave, I trust his knowledge more so because he's a veteran. He's been there and done it. He had a lot of input, and I mentioned the hawthorns. I mentioned all these other trees, and there was a couple of them that like I mentioned to him, and he says, "Oh, it's just not going to work out. They grow too wide and not up, and this and that." So, with the limited real estate we have a curb on one side, we have a sidewalk on the other. 30 inches below the surface is a conduit, 2-inch conduit. If you plant a sapling, they establish roots. We're not planting saplings here. We're planting a tree. So it's not gonna be naked for long. And that's my concern. I mean, everybody thinks that, we're just taking these trees out. Another tree is going in its place within a few days, and it'll be a substantial sized tree, just like we did when we first had this project. If you go planting a really, really small tree, a sapling or something, they get really deep rooted, and they change the structure of the rooting because they are allowed to grow wherever the nutrients or the soils allow them to grow. You're planting a ball. You're planting a tree that's probably 8 to 10 feet in height. I am so kind of not dead set against multiple varieties, but I would lean more towards one variety, but that would seem to be scratched off the list right away. And I'm fine with that. So I kind of come to the conclusions, what's least impact to the pedestrians? On the other side, what's not going to be carved out by tractor trailers that go down through there and just have this cavern that's where you can see the mirrors and everything off. That's why when I made that recommendation, there was a lot of thought that went into that. So I really recommend all these 38 trees. You're not talking 2 miles of road. You're only talking from Graham Road West Drive, a very, very short distance. We had trees that were that all those trees were very successful there under the original planting. They got big, and when we lost one due to a disease or an MVA or something like that, we put them. So that would be my recommendation.
My recommendation is that I liked Rami's idea, that we have a planting plan, which we require from when people come before the planning board. And I think maybe it would be worth getting a professional planting plan. Because I do appreciate everything that Dave is providing for us in terms of a recommended tree, but I want to maybe see the whole length of it.
Isn't he a professional?
Yes. Yeah, but he's just recommending a species versus a location and what can go in each specific location. Like to go on this corner, maybe we could put a taller tree because there's not a power line there versus, what's your recommendation for the overall best street tree? So they're not the exact same question.
So with his tree recommendation, he hasn't provided a tree planting plan. Is that what I understand?
Yes, he's just providing his newest best recommendation, which is one we
How
have.
do we determine what tree goes where without a planting plan?
That's why I would like one.
Well, I suggest we ask Dave.
There was a planting plan in 2006. There was a planting plan, and they strategically went where they went to not disguise the businesses, to have even space in between the street light, the ornamental street lighting, and the utilities that were all in there. That those were all taken into considerations. Trowbridge and Wolf did the original planting plan. Part of the cost savings behind this is to be able to utilize the already excavated hole by uprooting the tree. That's where a lot of the savings are coming from. Plus the sight line that comes out of all the intersections and all the driveways. Those are all taken into consideration under the original planting plan. All we're doing is replacing the trees under the original planting plan.
Well, that makes good sense. Trowbridge and Wolf.
They don't exist anymore. We talked about them today.
I know they don't exist. However, their plan was no doubt an excellent plan.
Well, when I drive down the street, I can look at the planting and think it might be worth a professional looking at the situation today. Not every building is, being utilized in exactly the same way. The growth might have come up, it's slightly different, not everything is perfectly spaced between every single, streetlights. I think it'd be worth having a professional eye drive down and it doesn't have to be a 10-point plan, but just having someone take a look at it. I think it's a big deal because theoretically, we want this to be what this looks like for the future. I think it's something that we should do with consideration.
Do we have the original planting plan in digital format, John? Do you know?
I'd have to look. Back in 2006, there wasn't a great amount of as-built retained. That was 2005 was when the project started.
Okay.
I'd have to look at I have, which I call the Bible, basically. It's the original plan set. And it's only, 11 by 18 set, and it's very small, but I'll look and see if there's anything. Basically, the only thing we have to my knowledge, as far as the as-built, is the infrastructure that's in the ground.
Okay. It would be nice if we had that plan or something like it, that we could just come in and digitally erase the tree that was there and just kind of give a representation of each of the 2 or 3 species that we pick and say, this will be here, that will be there, so et cetera. That way, we also have a way of making that available to our residents online to say, this is what we're going to be doing, and this is the plan for it, rather than just start doing the work and put them in, and no one really knows about it. It would be an extra way of being transparent about the tree removal and replacement.
Newsletter,
Yeah.
you can put something in there too, to let people know that you're looking at it.
Does anyone have a problem with the species that John is recommending?
No, no.
I looked online, they looked pretty nice.
And Dave Hernandez grows trees. I mean, if anybody, I suppose, take a field trip, find,
I don't know if it's a problem. I did do the hawthorn for the grant. I'm not sure that possibly we could find space for 10 hawthorns if we needed to, but also I think that it would probably be okay to do a swap of the species type, because, you know, Janine and I were talking back and forth about what would be. I don't think the species type was the final nail, but we'd have to see what happens with that.
Yeah, if there's a safety concern, and John had safety concerns with the hawthorn.
Well, we can get the absolute thornless one, but he's saying it's not as attractive. But if that, we could talk about that if we get the grant, and if the grant is hawthorn specific, which I don't think it necessarily will be.
I suspect it won't be that specific either, so. But I would like to try to put a plan together. I don't know if we would need anyone professional. If there's a plan out there that we could scan in and make a copy of it, it should be fairly easy to go through and just digitally erase a tree and put in one of the 2 species and just play with that until we kind of get what we want. It's just going to be a 2D image though. So.
I would think that we can see how that goes, but I would think that it wouldn't be a bad idea to have a professional look at it, because like I said, I am hoping to find some locations that would make sense for different species. The Greenway Command did like the resilience of multiple species. If there turns out, like, for example, we thought calorie pears were the greatest choice when we made it 20 years ago. An unexpected thing came up. Well, what if something all of a sudden happens to X species and it gets a bug from you know, Japan or something, and now it's got Japanese beetle attacking it, and we weren't expecting that. So if we have more than one species, we're sort of protecting ourselves from problems. So I would like maybe a professional to look around along Trip Hammer Road for areas that there's not the height restriction, and we could do a different design.
And we would just suggest that the 2 species we have, and where do they think, which of those 2 species would fit better in each of the current locations?
Well, there's a bunch that are different heights, so if we have somewhere that it doesn't have the height restrictions, then there's even more species than those that we can look at. If we're doing one species everywhere, then we definitely have to choose one of these 2. But if we're doing multiple species, we have more flexibility.
I thought we were selecting 2 because we had decided we wanted multiple species. Am I incorrect in that? I thought we had talked about this in one of our meetings, and we decided that multiple species was a better idea.
Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, I like multiple species.
I could be misremembering.
Actually, Dave recommended only one species down through there because it was just very limited, and that's what he recommended. But the Greenway Committee wanted multiple species from the information I received by sitting in on a couple of Greenway committees. So that's why I picked 2. I picked 3 choices, 2 preferred, and that's what we did. He recommended if they want 2 species, then they ought to be planted in groups of 5, not alternating, just because it would start to look bad if they start to color at different times. That was his opinion. I mean, he's more than welcome to probably give another input on it. He already has done one, saying one species was best. but I'm just going by what the Greenway Committee, I'm trying to compromise is what.
You're doing. The thing about multiple species is they won't all be in bloom at the exact same time, and you'll have visual interest for a longer period of time. If we put in some maples, for example, if we found some places for that Freeman maple, then we would have something really nice in the fall, whereas these trees are gonna look great in the spring, so that would be nice.
So that would be the extra input we might also get from a professional. These are the things we're thinking about and what do you suggest? And could Dave Hernandez come through and do this for us?
Well, I think that Trowbridge and Wolf now has an offshoot, right? John, is that somebody we should think about asking for help?
I don't know. I would lean towards Dave. I'm just partial to him because he's done so much in the Cornell Ithaca College areas.
Absolutely.
That's just my.
John, no, I agree with you 100%. I've worked with him, contracted with him. Yeah.
You
He
just have
knows.
someone like a landscape architect, and they come in, they just start plopping stuff down because it makes sense. Kind of like, almost like the congestion of the pollinator garden. A lot of that was problematic for costs and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'll source whatever you guys request me to source.
Okay.
So originally, I'll be quiet.
Giving people a chance to think and speak. Go ahead, Kathleen.
So the rationale, because you've got different conditions on the east and the west side, it lent itself to two species. If you have two species on each side that meet the different criteria, then you can have the shade, you can have the shorter, smaller, and there's both the aesthetic and the resilience argument for having two on each side and for alternating them. You can still group and alternate
Yes.
with your patterns, and then you get the year-round seasonal variation, and it is a beautification grant, so. And then another point that was raised was kind of the cost benefits. When you're talking about root systems, where your utilities are located, the damage to the sidewalks, buckling with roots, so you kind of pick and choose your factors and filter those out, and we'd need the arborist to do that.
What I'm
But
hearing is it's gonna maybe engage
There were
somebody.
some good, and originally, I think he had said the recommendation was 2 phases for those reasons. But again, it's a cost benefit with machinery, traffic, et cetera.
And I think that if we determine a professional service to help us with this, as long as they know the factors that are involved, as far as purchasing, time, when this should be done, and take all that into consideration and help us make a plan and give it, I'm not talking about a down to the inch exact plan for the plantings, but an idea visually on paper where things should go. And we could try to stage it from that too. It would give us something to stage by, and what John could work with as far as the equipment and getting it done. Could we do it in one day or 1 week, or would it take 2 weeks or 3 weeks if we stage it? And what would that do to the overall cost, not just monetary cost, but the cost of using our DPW department for support and or actually doing the work?
So.
Are you looking for AI? Is that what you're looking for, like an image? Ron?
Yes. Yeah, like a landscaping plan we require for developments, something similar, but not to that specification. Just if we have the exact location of all of the curb cuts and the streets and the utility lines, the plan would show where the trees would go and kind of why they're going there.
Yeah, okay, okay.
So John, can you find whatever you might have in terms of what was done in, previous, you said you thought maybe you had something?
Yeah, yep,
And then I will do what I did with Michelle Palmer, which is I'll talk to 3 different people and see kind of what kind of options they have. I'll start with Dave and then 2 other TBD people in the tree business and see what they can do for us in terms of plan. And then I'll get back to you guys with what they say.
I think that's a good idea, Kelly.
So the Greenway Committee is going to meet, in our April meeting is going to be at Marion Hartel Park. So we will talk about, how we're updating the Greenway plan. We're going to talk about what we might see for that park's future right at that park. Specifically, we'll be talking about placements of the memorial trees and the benches. So anyone who would like to join us, 10:30 at Marion Hartel Park on the 3rd Monday.
Send a reminder closer to time.
Okay, and that's all I have. It's only been 5 days since we last saw each other.
You're busy. Kathleen?
Again, it's only been 5 days, but there was a meeting of the Water Resource Council at 4:15 this afternoon. And there was also the March 12th Community Choice Aggregation meeting for municipalities, municipal officials that went over not only the community choice aggregation, but the other supplemental program as well. So that was a good discussion. So Water Resources Council, the 2026-2030 Agricultural Environmental Management Strategic Plan was presented and questions addressed. And it was Paul, and I'm killing the pronunciation, Gier, and Devin Cox from Tompkins County Soil and Water Conservation District. And what they talked about was nutrient management and successful projects, barriers to people having plans, and basically with the economy uncertainty, everything is valuable on a farm. So it's decrease waste, trying to meet the total maximum daily load goals in terms of runoff into slowing down runoff basically into the watershed. So, yeah, I'm not going to go through it all. But it was it's a really good presentation with some really good projects that were very successful in Tompkins County. So they're doing a really good job. The barriers are time. It takes about 8 months to create one of these plans. Another barrier is cost. But and then the availability of certified planners is another big barrier. So what they're doing is they're concentrating on the largest farms because not all are regulated. So they're starting with the largest, working with them to develop the plans and then implement best management practices, and then moving down to the smaller and smaller farms. And they have worked with some very small farms, horse farms, livestock, et cetera, to implement best management practices. But then when they work with them, they do require a plan and help them create that plan. So, and then another thing with the state budget, there's the one at the one house, I mean, you know, that there are the two houses in the, and then they merge it, and then now they're negotiating the final budget. So I don't know if I'm okay to say this, but any letters of support, so the Water Resource Council did approve the executive committee signing on and amending a letter of support to go from 450 million to, which is flat, and the governor's recommendation to increase it to 500 million for the EPA funding. So well, that's it in a nutshell.
Anything else?
Everything else is next week.
Okay. A couple of things. Kurt, I keep forgetting his last name. He's the general, the director of the Ithaca Area Economic Development Organization. He wants to meet with Carolyn and I think today he suggested maybe someone in the planning part of our village. It was kind of vague. I don't know if he means Mike Scott for code or Mike Baker for planning, but we're going to try to have a meeting with him. I'm trying to connect him into the commercial area advisory committee. So Carolyn there, so that I told him high level what that was, and he was interested, and he wants to see how he can help, but I think he's interested in generally economic development within the village, kind of what we see, what might be coming down the road. If we don't know, we don't know, but if there are things we would be interested in, that he could start, keeping his ears open and saying, oh yeah, there's a project coming, and
Maybe he can help us fill the friendliest. That would be great. I'm happy to meet with him. Yeah, I got the email.
yeah.
Just
And
reply back.
I'll include Mike
Mike
and
Mike's-
Mike, the two Mikes.
Okay, yeah.
And we'll just make it we'll meet here and talk with him and see, and go from there.
Right.
So that's ongoing, and we got Mike Scott and I got a letter, an email this evening about 7 o'clock, that the person that was looking at the battery energy storage system in the north part of the village wants to meet with us to talk about the project. They were curious as to what our plans were for any kind of code related to battery energy storage systems. So, basically, we've started the discussion, but we're not anywhere near where we would have something to put into code. But we'll talk with them and see, let them know. What I will tell them is that we don't have anything yet. We're kind of looking around to see which municipalities have something close to ready, if not finished, and look at theirs for a model.
Well, there is a model code. You should start with the model code.
Right.
Start with New York State's provided that. That's where we started with the solar law. They have a best model code. I would start with that. And then, yeah, look to see if Dryden or town has one.
Okay. So there is a New York State? Okay.
And there's also, components for community benefits agreements, and Cornell Cooperative Extension has information on that.
Similar to big solar projects. Okay, all right.
And, yeah, and the decommissioning language, et cetera.
We're just, this discussion is just barely started. So I don't think they have anything formal to present to us. They're just kind of getting ducks in a row to come in and make a formal presentation. So I will contact them tomorrow and see what we can set up. So now that's all for me. Anything else around the table? Okay, I would need someone to make a motion to move into executive session.
I so move.
Second? Okay. Okay, so we will move into executive session at 8:57.
Call it a model law, not a model code, but you'll find it pretty easily. I'm looking at it right now.
I think
Carolyn.
Mike Scott has circulated it before.
We've got it, when the
Full pages.
discussions were going on with the solar.
We have moved and voted to end our executive session at 9:38. We now would like to move a resolution, a resolution to update our 26-27 budget appropriation line for A1410.1, which is clerk, personal services. We will be moving to increase that budget line increase the 25-26 budget number by 10%, which would be $114,098. $114,098. Sorry. Okay, that's the resolution. Will someone move that?
I so move.
Ainsley moves, okay, a second.
Yes. Second.
Kathleen, all those in favor of approving this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. Okay. Okay, so we now need a motion to adjourn.
Move adjourn.
Second.
Gillespie? Ainsley? Vote was taken. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 9:40 PM. Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. The recording off. Okay. Here we go.